Okay, we're going to talk about the developer setup, local developer setup for setup the code base. First of all, here's the live site. We're not showing crafters. We will be soon again because people are contributing and helping out to the hosting, which will allow me to turn on the Postgres database again. And then crafters will show up here on the website. So let's open the code. Actually, first let me show you the repo. So it's not public. It's still locked here. It will be public once this goes live for open source. So I'm working on getting this up. And ready for that? 5,592 commits. So I've been working on this for a long time, put my heart and soul into this thing. So let's open the code base. So yesterday or day before, I installed update. I was updating the README in here, so the README is becoming better. It was okay. I actually put too much stuff in it, so I'm kind of dumbing it down a little bit and making it more clear. And let me install this update real quick for WebStorm. It's all Node.js. It's all React in the front end, Node.js in the back end. So that's the stack. There's no Java, Kotlin. It's taking a while to do this. There's a lot of plugin updates actually. If you saw that list, it's usually just a couple, but now it's a ton. Oh, that's interesting. It failed. The build failed here. Okay, we'll look at that. Next stream will be after this one. After local dev setup, will be me showing you how to push the code up to production and showing you the pipeline. So back to the code. The README file, if you look at this, let's go to the top here. Local dev setup, clone the project, cd to the root of the project. So actually, let me update this too. So let's start from scratch. Command K. We are at the root of the project. So if you're using JetBrains, if you're using VS Code, that's fine. I use JetBrains right now. I've been playing around with Cursor lately, but I'm gonna stick in here. So if you're not sure how to do this, just open up the root folder. You clone it down. Open up just go to File, Open, and then choose the root folder, the one you just cloned down, and that's it. JetBrains does the rest. I'm using WebStorm. You can use IntelliJ for this too. IntelliJ you can use for JavaScript as well. I do pay for WebStorm. I pay $3 a month. No big deal. So I pay for it. I like it. And so here we go. We clone it down. We had to let's install the dependencies. We have several modules in here, right? If you're not sure what a module is, it means in here we have different folders, and inside the folder, if there's a package JSON, then it's a module, right? So this makes it a module here. Because here's client. This is the React.js client. This database stuff. Server. We have a couple servers. We have actually, I'm kind of going over the code base. I'm not really telling you the setup right now, but this is part of the setup, I guess you could say. So server this is the GraphQL service. This serves up stuff like Crafter, data. I think it does serve up like maybe company names or something still. I don't know. It's been a while since I've actually seen what I did. This server static, these are not great names. We can rename these. Server static just means that this service is serving up the company and country data, which live in JSON files. So if you look in here, somewhere in here, there's a couple JSON files, one called company JSON and one called country JSON. And those are pretty much most of the data is coming from there, with the exception to the crafters, which are coming from Postgres. The crafter list. Slack is just the app that shows up in Slack that I created. And so if we go into, let me go in here and show you. So I created a Slack app that when people join, they get a notification. So like if you go to, oh God, where is it? Where's the channel? hate how these are clumped up. These are clumped up. I hate this. Where's the intro? Where's the new people? What the? I can't even see it. I hate Slack. We're gonna move this. If I'm still running this, if I'm still holding the keys for this, we're gonna move this to a new platform my friend's building, which is gonna be way better than this crap right here. Here, introduce yourself. So I have a hook. I forgot what it's using. It's not my code. It's not a hook that I've coded. It's one of those major sites out there where you can put hooks into your various applications. And so when people sign up, they get this auto message here saying, hey, if you want to add your profile, go ahead and do that. And so the way they do that here, as I tell them, I said, look for the WeDo2DD Slack app, which is right here. Since I've already added my profile, actually, no, it's not actually running. It should say, if you've added your crafter profile, it'll give you a link to go to it on the website. If you haven't added your crafter profile, it'll ask you, hey, do you want to create a crafter profile? That'll open up the Slack app in here, which allows you to add your information, like who's your mentor, all that good stuff about how you TDD. And then once you submit, then your crafter profile shows up on the website. So let's get back to the setup though. So that's kind of like a quick high level overview. And so going back to setup, we need to install the node modules for these, right? So I gave you one script to run. It does it for all of them. Easy. And then we need to set up our database. So click on C database, right? So here we go. We have quite a bit here. We've got SQL migrations set up. These migrations are using, I was using Flyway. I'm using DB Migrate, which is a Node.js library now, which just is a little bit thinner. It's a little lightweight, and it works well with Node.js. Flyway doesn't really work that well with JavaScript, I found. So I kind of switched over to just using this. But to run the site, you need to have Postgres running locally, because when you run the site, it takes some data from a mirror copy of like the structure and the schema of what's in production, right? So we have a local instance of it running. We got some test data that we've added to Postgres, and so when you run the site, it takes some of that data, like it's for real from the database, right? So, so you have to have it running, and also some of our integration tests are hitting the database, because I want to make sure that under the repository, the CRUD layer, I want to make sure the CRUD layer works. I used to just totally stub out the CRUD layer when I used to TDD, but over the years I've kind of, I still stub things out in the middle, but I still want some real tests at the very bottom. And so I've decided that we should hit the database for that, and so we do. So that's why you need a Postgres database. So to set that up is you first install Docker Desktop, right? I'm using Mac. It's the M1. So I've already installed Docker. So here's Docker. Okay. And then install, depending on how you want to hit the database. What I've set this up is to nicely work with pgadmin. So I'll explain that in a minute. But right now, if we look at pgadmin, I just like it. And so in here, you can see here's all our tables. Here's our schemas. And so this is what it looks like. And this is how I like to look at it. But I also like to use the JetBrains Database Tools plugin, which is really nice. So when I'm starting to code, like I use pgadmin to see stuff at a high level sometimes when I'm setting up. But then when I start coding, I kind of like to use the JetBrains plugin, because it just keeps me in the IDE, and it's really nice. So you can get the query editor in here, and you can type queries. I don't think it's free. I think it's pretty cheap though. It's worth it for me. So I use the combination here. So Postgres runs in Docker containers locally. So let me show you that real quick. I gotta fix some of this. It's kind of okay. So if we go to the Docker folder, you have to go to Docker folder. So let's actually CD there first. CD to Docker, and then in the Docker folder we have a Postgres Docker file. And what this does, I believe this spins up 2 containers. One container is the Postgres database itself. And the other container is like a wrapper around, it's like a pgadmin wrapper that just allows pgadmin to work really well with the Postgres Docker container. So that, I don't know, there's magic in here. I got this from some guy, I don't know, off the net somewhere, and it works. I don't know that I need all this still. Folks can look into this and see what we need and what we don't. But this is right now, this is how it works. So when you run, the way you run this, going back to the README, I think I have this here, right? Yep. So, one more thing before we actually run this. So the tests, the way the tests use these, the local database, is that our integration tests run this function called reset database. And what that does is it blows away the database in the before each. And it's not efficient. I understand that. That's not an efficient way to go. We should change that. We should use, what the hell is it called? Query transactions, right? Like, we should just roll it back with transactions or something. But I haven't got to that point to do that. So some of these tests still call this reset database, which will blow away. It'll reset your test, right? So just know that happens. And when these tests run, they also will create the schema for you. So that's how you populate the local database, is just run the tests. And then what you'll see is now you'll see tables in here. And that's it. It's that easy to get this up and running, okay? But to actually, let's go back and actually get this set up. So if I go you install Docker, right? You download whatever tool you want to use to hit SQL. And then we have to run and create the containers locally. So what you do is you cd to Docker, and then you do Docker compose up. So I'm going to go back up here. Compose. Yeah, so we run this. I've already done it, but I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to run it. So if you look at this, mine's already running. So I think this is I think I used this container, I don't remember, to get some production dump or something. But the ones that you actually care about is this one, which is the Postgres database running in the container. No, actually, yes. And then this one's the pgadmin wrapper. So these two are what you're actually working with. This, I don't know if I forgot. I have to go back and see how I was using this. So now if you look at the Docker dashboard, you'll see them running here, right? There's my AMD 64. What is that? Oh, okay, yeah. I thought that was supposed to be something else. Okay. So that's pretty much it. Once your Docker containers are running, you should be able to hit that from pgadmin or whatever tool. I actually probably should. Let's actually. I'll install the JetBrains database plugin in a second, maybe at the end, to show you that if I don't have to pay. So, so going back down. So we got the database set up, right? So we know how to populate it. We run the tests. Gives it some test data. And now that you have a database, we can go to the next step. We can start the apps. So there are several things we need to start, or a couple things. So first of all, you want to start the GraphQL service first. So here's how you do that. Run the GraphQL service. What the hell? Oh, let's see if it works. Awesome. Now, yes, it's running, but let's make sure that we can actually, do something with it. So take this. Let's go to the browser. Let's pop this in here. Yep, that's good. So now what can we do with this? Let's run this. This gives us all the domain things you can query on, basically. All the endpoints you can query on with GraphQL. What you can query against, basically. So this is a thing you probably want to run, which is right here, just to see that it works, right? Or you can do a curl command. Let's do a curl. If you want to do that, you can just do this. Let's go in here and say, what are you going to give me? Awesome. This is what I can work with. Okay. Okay, cool. So the service is running. Now let's start the client. So we're going to take this, I'm going to actually rename this to server GraphQL. And I'm going to rename, that's the GraphQL. Actually, no, that's not it. It's right, this guy, right? So GraphQL service. We don't really need that one. Let's go back here and let's run the client. I'm going to rename this to client. It's just for you guys to see. We're going to run the client. So this thing runs two things. It runs React, obviously, but it also calls another script which runs the static service I talked about. And again, that service serves up the data that's coming from a couple local JSON files. I kept it simple at first when I built this site. So when I started the site, I didn't do a database like Postgres or anything. I just kept the data in JSON files. So a JSON database basically. So this starts both of those. So if you look at if you go into SRC client, you go into package.json, you can notice that this thing does quite a bit. It's going to build, and it's also going to start the static server right there. So let's start it. What? Oh, we have to be out of the Docker. You have to go back to the root, be back in the root, and then start it. Okay, so here comes the site. Taking forever. Oh, it's taking. Okay, it's slow because we're using an old version of Webpack 4. This needs to badly be updated, and I highly suggest that we move to Vite, not Next.js. I do whatever you want to, but I don't. Next.js is just I'll use it on teams if they have it, but it's not my preference if I were to build something from scratch. So I suggest Vite. Vite is fast, and Next.js is just heavy. It feels heavy to me. It just feels too opinionated. So that's my advice. You take it, leave it, whatever. Anyways, since I have that Postgres database running, we see crafters and we see, part of that data I think is coming from the database for companies, but the majority is coming from the JSON files. So since we have this static service running, we're seeing this data, right? Since we have Postgres running, we're seeing this. It's just test data right here, and some of the test data is pretty close to production. So, but it's a very small subset. Cool. And then so that's running. The static service is on port 400. This is the port that we're running the website on. Let's go back to the README. Okay, cool. We could start the Slack app. I should probably do a separate session for this one. I'll do a separate session on the Slack app. That's a whole different thing. So I'm not going to run that right now because there's a way to actually test this as well. I need to really get into that with you. If you still want to keep it, we don't have to keep the Slack app. What we could do is say, let's scrap this app and let's build real profiles, right? A real login. But that's extensive. That's why I didn't do it yet. And that might cost more money, right? Because we have to host that data, and this might pick up traffic more. And so all that stuff I just didn't do yet. So didn't have the time, as long as we can host it and pay for it, this could go there. We could scrap this, or we could keep it, whatever you guys want to do. But anyways, I think that's good for now. We at least got it started. Let's see the README again. So I really simplified this README, as you can see. What else can we talk about? We'll talk about builds in the next session. What else? I mean, there's going to be several sessions here. I'll talk about the database, the pipeline in another session. What else is in here? The migration stuff, testing. I'll talk about testing in another session too. So a lot of this code's old, right? You're going to see a lot of old stuff. You're going to see some old versions of Redux in here. You're going to see just old stuff. And this is what the fun is, right? Is if you want to continue this site, here you go. There's a lot in here. Take it, improve it. enhance it, integrate on it, whatever you want to do. It's got a lot of cool stuff in here. I mean, I did a lot of work in here. So yeah, I mean, one of the things you probably want to do is to start using React hooks, right? A lot of this stuff is, I think it's mostly functional components right now. I did have class components. I got rid of them. And that was like early on. I had class components and then I converted them to functional in here, but we still need to use some React hooks because I think there still is some use effects in here that really you should get rid of the use effects and inject hooks. So that's my suggestion. That's good. That's just a good way to code. So if you like to keep your use effects in here, that's just spaghetti code. Don't do that. But anyways, I'm moving on. So it's funny because like the site doesn't look like there's a lot here, but there's a lot in here. There's also jobs. I was going to do a jobs tab in here so we could list jobs, and I started on that, but then I just got busy. So there is a jobs section with a few React components in here that you could take and run with it if you wanted to, or you can scrap it. I think what we'll do next is let's run through, now that we set this up, let's run through I'm just going to run through the root files and we'll call it a day and we'll end this session for that. So and then we'll start a new session next time. So looking at the root here, we have got your GitHub workflows. This is for the pipeline. I'll get into that later. Okay. Husky are my pre-commits and push commits. So when you push, if you're not familiar with Husky, when you push your code up, from local to the remote, it's going to run these hooks, and it runs the tests, it runs the linters, it makes sure that those all pass. If they don't pass, then your push will fail, right? And that's good. There's some instances where you might want to skip it, and you can do that. So if you look at the README here, right here, you can skip it with the no verify flag, okay? So just know that's there. That's what these are right here. You can always come in here. If you want to change how these are working, you can do that. This is what they're actually doing. When you commit, it's running these things. Idea. So if you're using JetBrains, I do have some templates I created. So where are they? What I'm talking about is up here. These are pre-populated because we have those configurations pre-configured over here somewhere. I forgot where there's at. It's under somewhere over here is why these are showing up. I forgot where that's at. I thought it was under. Oh, it's under run, isn't it? Yeah, it's right here. So this is why you see in JetBrains these configurations show up automatically, and you don't have to create them because I created them for you. And that's why and so if you go in here, like normally if you wanted to use the JetBrains test runner, you'd have to go and create your own, you could go into a test and hit the play button and it creates a configuration for you, but you'll find out that that's not always the best way to do it because you'll have like a million of those things in here. So these are more broad. These will run all the server integration tests integrated. I do have mine set up to different types of tests, so that's just the way I roll. If you're one of those people who says there aren't test types, whatever, this is what I have. The way I code is I look at different levels of testing. I have micro tests, I do have integration and integrated. So for me, that's important. For you, whatever you want to do. So, but anyways, it's nice that they're here. So if you go in here, all this is configured for you now. I've done this so many years, I just automated it now with these run setup over here. So if you want to see what it's actually running, just go in here and edit and look at these. Simple as that. What else? This is just the build. Webpack builds it to the dist. And then Docker, what's in here? We have the client. These are all for, the pipeline. So you can look at these yourself, and the tests are not in the pipeline because I was the only one working on this, and so I always run my tests locally. So I never included the tests in the pipeline yet, but obviously if we go open source, we're going to need to do that, right? So there is I thought there was a test. I don't know. add it for me, please. And then what's this? I don't know. This is some library I used called Ink. I don't think I'm using it anymore. There was this JS library I used for JavaScript components that, for the website, kind of like, Tailwind. This is old. I don't think I'm using this. We might be able to blow this away. What I'm using now is what is it? I'm using Material UI. And of course I think I want to change that again to use ShadCN. So that's what it is. It's where it's at right now, is a lot of Material UIs in there. There might be some stuff that's still using Ink. Ink was a pretty cool library back in the day. We know what this is. Notes. Shit, I wrote notes as I went because I couldn't remember what I did, right? So these might be interesting to you. Some might be outdated. That's fine. But it might give you a basis of what my thinking was over time and what I did and that stuff like that, right? So we could keep them, delete them, whatever you want to do. I had some brainstorming ideas in here, all sorts of stuff. It was kind of like my Notion, basically, before Notion came out. I just did this because I would just think through things and think about, and document things that I would forget how to do. So if I wasn't on this all the time. So just some notes might be helpful. And then let's actually go. I'll go through these when I do the pipeline. I'll explain these better. Let's keep with the root. You know what this is. You know what this is. This is for GitHub. And then I'm not going to click that right now because I might have to hide some of that. I don't know. I think they're all just local stuff. They're safe. What else we got here? I don't know. What is this? We're using Prettier. No, this RSS feed stuff. There are a few folks who wanted this. I don't use RSS feeds, but some people do. So this is why this lives here. So every time I would list a company, I would put in an RSS entry because some people really looked forward to that. And so we should probably continue doing that. Nginx, we're using that. Yeah, I shouldn't be. And then we have a root package JSON. I don't know if I think we still need this though. We have package JSONs in each module, but I don't know. We also have a root one. We have to look at this to see if we still need this. For some reason we needed it, and I don't remember why. We got, what's this roadmap? Just some ideas I had at a certain time. tsconfig is for the compiling of JavaScript, TypeScript to JavaScript. Converting TypeScript to JavaScript, which is what you have to do to run in the browser. So this is tsconfig. So yeah, that's that, and then that's pretty much it. So that's it for this session. If you've got questions, please come to me in Slack. Or if people are already taking and driving this by the time you watch this, go ask them. I'm trying to push more of the responsibility off me and to folks in the community. So just be aware of that too. So.